What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be reacting to the 6th episode of Jobless Reincarnation. This was titled A Day Off in Roa. Apparently this title is meant to be like a pun in the actual Japanese title. Just because of the way Japanese works. Apparently it's a pun or a wordplay type situation. Unfortunately it doesn't translate into English, but whatever. Hopefully, judged by the title, we might have a bit more of a chill episode, because last episode was pretty mental. We've met Eris. Yep, Eris. Very how can I put this character? Aggressive and hostile child who really doesn't care for the teachers that she sent, apparently. But is family, essentially, quite an extended family, but still family nonetheless. And we're here to teach her, which, considering how it's now turned to Rudeus, she's gone through a few teachers, and they're kind of probably desperate at this point, and they thought, we'll give it a shot, why not? I mean, yeah, if it came from Paul, maybe that had a little bit more sway in it. It's like, here we go. But yeah, we meet Philip, who is the mayor and cousin to Paul. We have, obviously, Ghislaine, our just beautiful and very, very powerful protector. Or Eris's protector, I should say. But by extension will now be Rudeus' protector, because, well, just by extension, they'll be hanging around a lot more than likely. Absolutely fantastic animation last time as well. Apparently that whole episode was like solo key animated, which was just incredible. And every single moment was just brilliant in shot direction, everything. Like, this series is... Not only is it just great in terms of character building, but it also looks fantastic. They're using the moments correctly when they need to. Like, not every single shot needs to look breathtaking, per se, but that's because now that we're 5 and going on into 6 episodes in, the art style is not a surprise anymore. When you first watch this, and you first hit episode 1, you're like, holy shit, look at this artwork. And now that becomes the standard, and then you're waiting on the animation and shot direction to then give you those wow moments in between. Even the most beautiful anime, once you've seen it for a couple of episodes, that becomes normal to you. And yes, you can still appreciate how good looking it is, especially if you're jumping between a lot of shows like I am, because I've got like 25 odd shows that I'm jumping through this season. So like I can see a huge difference in terms of how each show has its visuals set out. But as soon as I remember what this show looks like, it's like, okay, I expect it to look a certain way. And then it's up, like I say, it's up to animation and ultimately writing as well as to what sort of these situations we end up having. But yeah, we planned a kidnapping, essentially, to try and teach Eris a bit of a lesson that you can't just brute force your way through every encounter, which is fair. She needs to learn that. Unfortunately, the fake kidnapping turned into a real kidnapping, which, okay, it kind of worked out in the end anyway, and it weeded out some traitors in our midst, so ultimately it went better than it could have done, I suppose. But we now are her tutor, and I guess we are going to have some montages of actually tutoring. We're meant to be here for 5 years, as far as I understand it, correct? So the question is, how much of those 5 years is going to be put into the last 6 episodes of the series this season, because it's 11 episodes this season, then we're taking a break, and then we'll be back in the summer. I wonder if the entire time with Roxy is going to be condensed into this last, to take us up to episode 11, or if we're going to extend beyond that. I'm curious to see where the arcs end up going and how fast we go through certain things, because the beginning has been relatively fast, but at the same time, it went at the pace it needed to introduce the characters that it wanted to introduce, so it didn't feel like we were rapidly burning through content. It still felt like we would give interactions and scenes all the proper time they needed, so I'm curious to see how this goes. But if we're having a day off, I assume we at least cut through I assume we get some idea of their lessons, but we're not going to sit there and go through an entire day of lessons and then do another day of lessons. Like, we're going to see the basic gist of it, then we'll have interactions outside of that, probably. That's how I imagine this show would end up going. How I imagine most shows would end up going, but who knows? They might go something different here because this show is all about that. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to shut up and we're going to watch the episode because this is one of my favorite series, one of your favorite series as well, just by the amount of support you've been giving this reaction, so thank you very much for that. But as per usual, these are time-based full reactions here on YouTube. If you want to see full picture-in-picture, you can go to my Patreon down in the description below. £4 a month gets you access to all picture-in-picture reactions I do, which is everything from this season, future seasons, certain backdated shows, as well as Patreon request shows, of which we have one coming up today in the form of Symphogear, so stay tuned for that. But here on YouTube, we have to time-based, so bottom left of the screen, you'll see the time of the episode. I'll count down 3, 2, 1, play, then on play, start the episode, I start the episode, and we'll be in sync. Watching this one on Funimation, since that's who licensed it this season. We have the Funimation logo, so about 7 seconds logos at the start. I'll call them out as they go past. You can also use screen flash on my face or the mic to tell when the scene's transitioning. So, with all that said, and to save my voice, let's get into this week's episode, shall we? In 3, 2, 1, play. Funimation, cheers. Here we go. We playing chess? Ah. Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Smart move. Interesting. Probably. Hello. So this is Mother. Mm-hmm. That laugh every time. Probably because you're related to Paul. If in... Oh, hello. Yeah. Lord of Fatoa? Saras, okay. Uh-huh. What a weird family. Uh-huh. God, he punched him across the room. The Grey Rat family is certainly unique. Wonder where she gets it from. Oh? Magic teaching, okay. Okay. Possibly. He makes a point. What a family. What a family. I love it. Uh, what is it with this show and making family members so... What? Okay. This person in the background was nodding as well. What a weird fucking family. I love it. And OP time with a montage in the background. Ghislaine, please. Uh, stay in control, stay in control. Okay. I thought she was going to have a bit of an accidental discharge there for a second. Just blow up part of the house. So I was right, they were doing a little bit of a montage of the teaching. Didn't actually plan for it in the... Is he making like a wax figure of Roxy? I'm not sure if it's wax, but he's making a figure of Roxy anyway. Alright. And we teach Ghislaine as well. Yeah, careful with that. Where'd she go? Okay, a month. Okay. Sounds about right for her. But magic, she's paying attention. Far from when she's awake. God. God damn it, Rudes. At least he interrupted himself. Don't even think about it. Don't even think about it. You're going to get one hell of a punch. Yep. Yep. 100% deserved. Oh, and a kick. 100% deserved. Hmm. Fangs of the Black Wolf, okay. Okay. Yep. If I was the other fighter, I think the mother was the warrior. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Jesus. Holy shit. It's fucking rough. But Eris is hooked, yes. Just find the way just get her hooked on something. Oh. Oh. It's all deserved in the end. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. Needs to overcome that, really. Jesus. Right. Uh, you really can't think of a reason. Oh boy. Yep. He really is. You have quite a unique. Oh, we've got the whole set now. Hmm. She does. God. Oh boy. The music. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Okay. World building. Mm-hmm. Hmm. It's gonna be legal. The hell is this? Oh. Uh. That's a good thing that you do not know. Mm-hmm. I mean. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Oh, now it just sounds condescending. This guy's. Are you buying this or not? Sir, excuse me. Sir. Uh, I'm so glad they addressed moments like that. Ooh, botanical dictionary. Okay, a gold piece is about 100 grand. Okay. Yeah. Hmm. Fair. A day? Right, yeah. And puts her life on the line for you. Right. Fair. Yes. Hmm. She's softening up a little bit as time goes on. That was that shadow. The heck? A floating city? The hell is that? The flying force. Oh, okay. Armored Dragon King. Jesus. Okay. Was. Probably will be again. "12 servants? Ah, okay. "414, okay. Why after him if he was one of 3? I question that a little bit. If he's a Dragon King, dragons have a long lifespan. I'm sure we'll visit there eventually, like 4 seasons down the road or some stupid like that. Absolutely, yes. Oh no. We should confiscate that. Yeah, let's... Yes. Oh. Diversion. He just runs. Oh no. What a waste. Million yen. Oh no. I bet, yes. God damn it. Alright. These episodes go by pretty quick. I guess we'll get title next time and then that's about it. So it's normally the title, right, in this show? Well, I can already guess what part of the like forum discussion stuff will be about this show, considering the that one Eris scene. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be talking about that. And I think that's one of the first... I think that might be one of the first interactions of the quote-unquote pervy MC that I struggle to justify. I'll talk about this more in the end as well, so if you're watching the picture-in-picture version, come over to YouTube for when I do my full discussions. But yeah, I do want to discuss that one briefly. What lies beyond effort. Okay. Okay. Alright, yeah. God, the show continues to be amazing. I appreciate that. Okay, before I get into the discussion about the Eris scene, because obviously we have to talk about that. This show, I've said this before on many other shows. Parents in anime, usually one of them is dead and the other one is just there. This happens a lot in like slice of life based shows. It's like the parents exist, but you never really get to see them that much, and as a result, you never really have good parent characters in anime for the most part. It's refreshing when you do. For example, Anos' family from Demon Lord. That was a refreshing taste, because it was like, oh, we actually have a really supportive family that I really like, and it's like, okay. This one as well, Paul and oh, what's her face? God, what was her name? Zenith. There we go. Or Zenith, right? Is it it's Zenith, right? Not Zenith. Because Zenith definition is like the zenith, yeah, point directly above. So it's like the sun is at its zenith. That means high noon, essentially. So yeah, I assume it is zenith because I would say zenith for high noon, things like that. Anyway, they are fantastic parent characters, and Paul. I mean, it tracks for this world for Paul to be the type of person he is, and the situation he's got himself into. But it kind of worked out in the end somehow. But they're well-developed characters. And that's, again, something you don't normally see, but if they're your main characters you're going to be interacting with for the beginning of your show, you kind of have to develop them, right? But then even this extended Greirat family, with Philip, the grandfather Saros, Hilda we haven't really built upon much at all yet, but that's fine, I don't expect we will. Not yet, anyway. I guess, well, Ghislaine doesn't count as family. But and the service of the family, Ghislaine's a really good character. Like, I like the little moments she gets. Like, the little moments she gets, like that, when she got the math question right about the copper pieces, and she was just like, yes. She was like, that was kind of like cute in its own way. That she was like, it's nice to see her grow a little bit as well. It's like, we really could have just had a typical bodyguard character who just stand by and didn't really have much to involve it. But seeing her go on that little journey as well, and seeing her being a motivational force for Eris to study, great idea, Rudeus, to incorporate that, because, yeah, she would be interested in... She's very close to Ghislaine, obviously, as her bodyguard, so if Ghislaine can motivate her, works out pretty well. But yeah, I suppose now we should talk about that scene. I think the main reason why I think this show continues to explore that side of our character is because that's what someone in that situation ends up being like. And I think it's important that we, at least early on here, since we're still in the first 6 episodes, this is going to be a long-running series, right? As far as I understand it, as long as the Studio Bind, gets their wish and the popularity maintains, which so far it is, as long as they can keep going, this is probably going to be multi-season anime. I would hope we get as full an adaptation of the source as physically possible. So that could be 3-4 seasons down the road. I'm willing to wager that the Rudeus we see now in these first 6 episodes will be very different from the Rudeus we see by season 3, season 4 time, depending on how fast the pacing is to get to that point. Especially as he grows up, because essentially I saw a comment on this recently as well, like, physically, and in terms of actual time, he is in his 40s, technically. Like, he was 34 when he died, he's about 7-8 now. I think he's 7 now. So realistically, he is 41, 42 in a 7-year-old's body. However, this comment was actually pretty good. Mentally, he really hasn't progressed much past, like maybe a teenager at most, but even teenager might be a stretch of his mental age at this point, because of the experiences he had in school, which were very brutal, like, for bullying situations. One of the more brutal showcases of bullying I've seen in a while, not in terms of, like, physical bullying, but in terms of mental bullying and the lengths that he went to and the trauma he suffered. And as a result, what progress he would have made as a teenager up to that point, he just started regressing, and hence he became the person he was, the shut-in NEET, and the perverted nature of his being essentially came into essence. And it's very difficult to just suddenly expect that aspect of his character to just disappear because he's now a child. At least that's how they're interpreting this and the whole reincarnation thing, because I forget which show it is. Which reincarnation show was it? It might be Bookworm. It might be Bookworm, it might be another isekai I'm thinking of, but they talked about how yeah, I think it was Bookworm actually, where they talked about Mind's like, she is still a child, and while she has the past experience, she's becoming more childlike as time goes on, and she's becoming what her actual character physically is in this world. I'm sure it might have been Bookworm, although I feel like it might be another show, but I can't pinpoint it. But no, it wasn't. It was By the Grace of the Gods. By the Grace of the Gods did this, and they said like he was becoming, his abilities were becoming more childlike over time. So as his previous life was melding into his current life, and then eventually that will be the life he knows more than anything. But with Rudeus, he's just continuing on essentially, and 7 years as a child with very little social skills, but has gradually been improving. It's expected that his behavior will be like this, because touching her in her sleep and going for the panties like that, with most of his sexual and romantical interactions probably being like erogaze and pornography and things like that, that's a common trope. That is a common trope in those types of things, and isn't ever shown as bad. Like, over here in the West, that is sexual assault. I'm sure in Japan that was also classified as sexual assault. I am not knowledgeable enough about Japan to know how society views those types of interactions. All I know is their depiction in anime medium, in which it's increasingly common. Well, maybe not increasingly common, I think it might be getting less common as time goes on. But it is often shown, and especially in ecchi genre shows. But it makes sense for Rudeus to still exhibit those actions. You get what I mean? It's hard to talk around. Because part of me can kind of justify why, with the character we've set up, why he still continues to do it, and how it will take time before he actually gets around that. Although, puberty is going to hit him like a truck. Let's be real, puberty is going to hit him like a truck when it comes to it, because all those hormonal balances are just going to be thrown out of whack, and with his already perverted mind, he's going to have a tough life with that. I wonder if that actually is going to end up being a thing for the story, but he's going to have a rough life when he hits like 14, 15, well, maybe even earlier than that. Could be earlier than that, considering how he's already at. Like, he could very much have an early puberty. But yeah, so whilst part of me justifies why, because of the character we built up, it makes sense. He's not just needlessly pervy just because, oh, I'm a pervy character. Like, he has the backstory of the bullying and being shut in and all the social interaction being best. Like, there's all the evidence that supports why he is the way he is. But there is still part of me that does wonder, did that need to be part of his character in the first place? Like, did the show have to include that perverted nature of his in order for this show to still be as good as it was? And that's where I have a tougher time questioning it. Because, obviously, we wouldn't know what he would be like if he wasn't a somewhat pervy character, right? We don't know what that character would be like, because we've only ever known him as a pervy character. But it does call into question whether that enhances the show or diminishes the show. And I guess that's also your outlook on pervertedness in anime. Like, if you don't like perverseness in anime, obviously you're going to think this is diminishing it. If you're on the fence about it, maybe you'll accept this one because they've given justifications in the beginning. Obviously, if you like pervy MCs, you're gonna like it, obviously. But with each interaction of that pervy nature, he is growing. Like, he's learning, and I think the key thing for him, he needs to make these mistakes. Because he's had no one in his life at any point, in like the 40 years he's lived, to tell him that what he did was wrong. Really, like any ideas, especially on the sexual interest and social interest, all of that comes from experience, right? Like, you need to make mistakes to learn what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. Like, you've been told stuff, but until you experience it yourself, you can't really gauge social interactions in that way. Like, it's part of, he needs to make mistakes. And early on, he's going to make a lot of them. Especially with Paul as an influence. That probably didn't help, let's be honest. But, like father, like son, kind of fits as well, so it's possible that might be carrying over to an extent, although it's not really clear how much of that is influencing him rather than just his own person. But who knows? I guess we'll see as time goes on. But yeah, I think maybe that might hold this show back, though, from being a universally accepted and loved isekai to being one that does alienate some of its audience because of that. And I do call into question maybe if there was a need to have that, and does it need to be shown so often? You could make a justified argument out of that. But every interaction he's had made a degree of sense. I've had this conversation a lot in this show, as it turns out, because, well, pretty much every episode has had something like this worth talking about, right? I think most of them have. Pretty much. Especially episode 2, obviously. Episode 3 did as well, definitely. Episode 4... that touched on cheating and stuff, which was not necessarily his pervy nature, but it was more Paul. 5... Actually, did 5? I don't think 5 did. This one did. But, yeah, it's an interesting discussion like that, so let me know your thoughts in the comments as per usual. I'm sure many of you have voiced such thoughts as well already on previous episodes, so thank you for all your support on those. It's an interesting discussion to have, and I just kind of enjoy it, and the fact that I care enough to actually reason it out and think whether actions are justified, whether it is improving or diminishing the show, like, that just shows how much I'm invested in the show, right? Like, I want to have these discussions. Like, certain other shows, if we had a pervy MC, I'd be like, okay, he's a pervy MC, I don't like that about him. Moving on. Like, that was me with Orphan. Like, Orphan, I could not justify the pervy MC in that at all. Like, I could not justify him being that way with what we were presented early on. But very early on, we were presented what Rudy's situation was with his previous life. And such that it makes sense why he is the way he is mentally. So, anyway, that's going to do it for today, guys. Thank you everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed that one as per usual. Leave a like if you did, as well as your comments before the episode. I'm sure the sexual side of things is obviously going to be a main talking point, but anything else about the show, please talk about. Any other little bits that you noticed that maybe I didn't pick up on, any little bits of animation that you thought stood out, because this show does have standout animation, even non-fighting animation and shot choice as well. Like, even just like a simple one, I'll give as an example real quick. When they were walking into the town and going into the market, and they were walking out, and then all of a sudden we were coming out and had a static shot, and then all of a sudden we were in a pan shot very fluidly, all in one continuous shot that we had a static and then into pan. But it didn't feel like we were just doing a normal pan shot. It felt like we were actually... It felt like there was more camera movement than actually there was, which was just a nice little effect that I noticed. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on things like that as well, because this show has so much that it can be talked about. And yeah, don't forget to hit subscribe as well to see next week's episode, as well as the rest of the Winter 2021 lineup you can find on the channel. We recently just crossed 700 subs, which is absolutely incredible. I have this show to thank for a fair few of them as well. Actually, before we wrap up, let's have a fun little game. Let's see how many people from this series have come over according to YouTube stats. YouTube stats are not entirely accurate when it comes to where subscribers come from necessarily, but they do end up being somewhat decent. So we want, where is it? Subscription source. Let's see. Can I find it? I don't know if I can find it here. Let's do it this way. This way probably works a bit easier. Jobless Reincarnation. So let's see. Analytics for episode 1. Episode 1 was 9 subs. Episode 2 was another 2 subs. So that's 11. 14. 15. Wait, I said 14, right? Yeah, so that's 16, sorry. And that's 21. So, like, over 20 subs just from this one series alone, which is incredible. And that's YouTube statistics, which aren't entirely accurate when it comes to that thing. Like, if you don't subscribe whilst watching the actual video, but you go onto my channel to see more stuff and then subscribe from there, it's like, it wouldn't count it. So, having 20 just directly linked from the video is incredibly supportive, and you guys love this series, I love this series. And we're going to watch every single bit of this show that physically comes out, because, yes, it's good. So, thank you everyone for watching, and until next time, see you guys later.